everybody. My name is Noelle McKenzie, and I'm the owner and founder of Unmuted Creative. This is We Are Unmuted, an interview series where we get real about people's journeys, the ups, the downs, the wins, the lessons, and how they've been unmuting in their lives. Today, I'm joined by Roshaun Davis, a multifaceted leader and visionary at the forefront of community development here in Sacramento. Roshaun is the founder of Unseen Heroes, a creative agency with over a decade of experience producing impactful events and brand experiences, and the executive director of CLTRE, an organization committed to building, creating, and preserving culture as the foundation of community development. His work lives at the intersection of creativity, ownership, equity, supporting people, neighborhoods, and ideas that are often overlooked while reshaping what community development can actually look like when culture leads the way. Thank you, Roshaun, for being here. I'm so glad I finally got you on.
Hey, we made it happen. We made it
We
happen.
did it. Can you share a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do?
Oh man, I start like by just expressing like my positionality into this work. I am ultimately just a creative person, a non-traditional person that, has always, since I was a kid, like dance the beat of my own drum. I think that has very much like positioned me in this work that I do and has been something that I've done since I was a kid. And that's before any professional accolade or anything like that. I've just always danced the beat of my own drum. So that has led to some interesting places, but I always say it comes from like a creative place, right?
Yeah.
Very spiritual, that's something that, even down below the creativity connected to the spirituality. So that is a big part of who I am.
Mhm.
And then what comes from that, the fruits of those labors. I'm a father, like that is like the beat of my heart too. I
Yeah.
have three boys that are 23, 14,
Wow.
and 9.
Oh.
Um, so have a whole spectrum of like experiences in a day,
Hmm.
uh, and all the emotions that come with
Yeah.
that. But and all the scheduling that comes with that.
Hmm.
And I'm a family man, you know what I mean? So I just love my family and just love like being in that piece as well. And then when I put the professional hat on, it's using my creativity, my talents to then help other people get to where they're going. So I think all of those things put together is what Roshan is in a nutshell. And then
Yeah.
it goes off into so many other directions after that. But those are the things. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Can you talk a little bit more about culture? Because that's the newest endeavor, and then we can rewind to Unseen Heroes a little bit.
Yeah, so Culture is a community development corporation. We started during the middle of the pandemic, and the best time to start a business.
Yeah,
Starting a
perfect
business,
timing.
best time in the world. When the world's shut down, that's what you do is you start a business.
Perfect.
But Culture is a community development corporation. What that means is like, there's this soft infrastructure when it comes to developing a community, and that's kind of what we focus on. When I say soft infrastructure, it's like it's not the place, right? Which is a big part of development. That's the built environment. And then there's also like the things like the people that are in the neighborhoods, right?
Mhm.
And community development sits like in the middle of that and develops all of that at the same time, taking into consideration like what the impact is of the built environment on the people that live there, taking the people that live there and amplifying their voices and making sure that as these places develop and get built out, that there is like some synergy. So I always draw like a Venn diagram of like two circles, the built environment and the community, and there's like this middle section where all of that kind of lives together. That's like community development for me. So it's a lot of the things that you don't see that really don't get funded a lot, like the conversations about how people feel when, this new development goes in, or,
Right.
the the feeling of displacement that comes when a new development comes in, the conversations with the people who are building in these spaces about how they bring the community along with them, so it becomes like a well-oiled, holistic, community. So
Mhm.
it's like all of those little pieces is what community development really is at the core of it. But then, I just look at like a place. So you look at the place and you think about the built environment, so how that comes to be, and then the things that make it cool, which is like the culture,
Right.
which is like the small businesses in the neighborhood, the places that people frequent, the third spaces that exist in that neighborhood. Like,
Mhm.
what are those things that those folks need to be taken care of, to be successful, to be sustainable, so that the built environment grows, the businesses grow, the people that come to the neighborhoods love like where they are and they're supported. So it's just like this ecosystem. And that's the nurturing of that. That's what I call community development.
Yeah.
But if you look it up, it's like random words put together.
Yeah, it doesn't actually mean what you want it to
Yeah,
mean. But
yeah,
that's
yeah.
why culture was born, to make it mean what it was supposed to mean.
Exactly.
I like
Exactly.
that. How do you deal with, or how are you able to get the community involved? Are you on foot? Are you going door by door? Or how do you actually engage the community?
Yeah. Sheesh. So many different ways. I mean, it's so many different ways from like,
Good.
it's a lot of conversations. It's a lot of like getting to know people and being in space with people. And then like, for me, I think part of just who I am and going back to that is like I just love people, so it's easy for me to like go talk to somebody, strike up a conversation with them, ask them questions.
Mhm.
And so it runs the gamut from like, things we were saying before we were recording, like going to the events,
Yeah,
having conversations, meeting people, but always like looking at it in the standpoint of like the people that are standing across from you have something valuable to contribute. You know what
absolutely.
I mean? And I think that's kind of like when you're able to like really just sit in that, then every conversation you have becomes a bridge that
Awesome.
you're building, right? And it might not be for months before the bridge actually links and you
Right.
have the conversation and you get on the call, you can, have the interview,
Mhm.
but like when you have that as the intention, you're always meeting people. It's like just being open to new possibilities.
Absolutely. I think I look back in my life and some of the original jobs I first got, before college and in college, I worked at restaurants and I worked at Joe's Crab Shack on the river. And in the interview, they said there was like 30 of us trying to be servers sitting in the lobby. And the song comes on that you have to dance to, and they said, "Okay, everybody up, you got to go out there and dance, follow the movements." And they just picked them off one by one because four or five walked out. They're like, I'm not doing that dance. This is not for me. And the
Oh yeah.
people that just kind of got up there and did it and tried and were silly and were okay with that at least got to the next step. And I look back at that moment in my life like, that really defines me as a person. I'm
Oh, yeah.
okay to get up and go make a fool out of myself if it makes people laugh and I can connect with other people. And it ended up being a great way to find that perfect person for the job, just making them see who they are. So I try and use that in my life now with brands and projects I'm working on. I like to walk up to people at a random gas station, be like, "So what do you
Yeah.
think when you see this logo?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, is this
Exactly.
color creative to you
Yeah,
or
yeah. What do you feel about that?
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes that gets you the best results.
A
It's
100%.
better
Yeah.
than a form that you send out. Not that those aren't helpful, but yeah, being with the people I think is one of the most important things. I'm sure.
Yeah, just being inquisitive, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, what do you think? How do you feel? How does that make you
Right.
feel? And being okay. I think the thing that I love about like just the space that I've always kind of existed in is like you're saying is like being playful,
Hmm.
like being joyful, not taking it too serious. So it has to be like very like, oh,
Right.
it's like, oh, let's get up and dance. Okay, that's really weird, but let's just go with it. And so I
Right.
think that then leads to a lot of different opportunities, a lot of different connections that then are more authentic than, hey, nice to meet
Or,
you,
yeah.
like, it's just like, so yeah, that's dope that you got to dance for an interview.
Yeah. I don't know if I would be so brave nowadays. It's definitely evolved into a different piece of me, but I don't know if you could get me up and dance in front of a whole bunch of people now. But hey, it's definitely in my heart. Maybe I'll like use that somehow to hire
Yeah,
my
that's
own
gonna be, yeah,
people.
exactly. That's gonna be my challenge to you. Just like, yo, just go up in front of a crowd and dance now.
Right. Yeah, we did some sociology experiments in college that were really interesting too, along those same lines. And we went to the K Street Mall, RIP. Um, and we had signs that said like free hugs. And so we saw like who would come up, who wouldn't come up, what people thought of it. We actually changed people who were holding the signs from women to older men. Like we shifted and the perception. And then another experiment that we did in that class that was so interesting to me was we dressed up as um, we tried to be like a homeless person, look like a homeless person. One person in class was dressed up, and then another one was dressed up like full business suit, briefcase,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
they had candy that they were giving out, and they had oh they were asking for directions in Old
Yeah.
Sacramento. And
Hmm.
so there was like a group of us behind, like recording what people would do when somebody was like asking for directions or using the restroom or giving a lollipop to a young child dressed one way versus dressed another, and the perception, and then like run up behind and be like, why didn't you take the lollipop from
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
person dressed like this? Or why
yeah.
did you give him directions and not him? And it was so interesting that their perceptions of people and why we as humans, I guess, can change just the same exact motion, just a,
Yeah,
you know, all because of perceived um, fears, I guess. I don't
yeah.
know if that's the right
Yeah.
word, but it was
Mm.
such a powerful experiment to do in college when your mind is like growing and learning and you're
Yeah,
young and you're still forming. And I think that was another big moment in my life where I made a choice to be a people person and be more open-minded, more playful, and more loving. I
yeah,
probably still was, but that was a big
yeah.
experiment. And
Hmm.
I still look back at that like it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's dope that you got that experience, you know what I mean? And kind of looked at it in a different way through a
Yeah.
sociology lens, right? Like,
Hmm.
because so much of human behavior gets grouped into these large scale things,
Hmm.
right? And it's like, oh yeah, there are some, maybe it's biases, or maybe it's like, just this is just how I am type of things. But be able to study those in real time that's dope. That's really dope.
Yeah, the people were really scared when we walked up with
Oh,
our
I can
clipboards for
imagine.
sure. Like we're running up on him like, so what did you do to get? Like they're like, oh my God. But it was very interesting. I think it shaped the way that I handle people. And it's the way I deal with brands now too. Like I want as much information going into it that feels authentic. Like
Yeah,
we do a lot of human-centered design stuff, and I think all of those experiences shapes how I look at brands and how I work with people now, and even wanting to talk to as many people as I can on this podcast about what they're doing to unmute in their lives. And yeah, so one of my friends actually was the one who put you up as a candidate and was like, you would be perfect. So
oh
I'm
yeah.
glad I got you here. Joshua, if I could
Yeah,
remember.
gosh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Josh.
Is he standing by me with a clipboard or
I know.
he's
Running up asking you questions. No, I
Why
don't
did you
know.
answer that way,
Sorry,
Ro?
Josh.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I know. Well, in Sacramento's small, so as soon as I said your name, of course, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, he would be perfect for this." So
Love
I'm
our
very glad you're here.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I want to rewind to Unseen Heroes before I forget too, because I know that I don't know
Mhm.
if it was the beginning of your story, but it definitely we can rewind to that and maybe talk about the beginning. So tell me a little bit about that. And that's still running. So it's parallel to you as a father and another businessman and another businessman and another businessman. So tell me
Yeah.
all about that.
Yeah, so I should also say that one of the things that creates my positionality into spaces is by seeing the gaps that exist in the ecosystem.
Mm,
Like that is something that I'm very, very good at, that I've like attuned to. So I
mm,
can see gaps. And then what I've learned, and especially when I started Unseen, it was not this.
yeah.
What I've learned is how to create the bridge that gets
Mm,
across that gap with partners.
love it.
When I started Unseen, it was not with it was not in the
Mhm.
partnership kind of side of it. It was like my wife and I were just like, yo, we see this gap in the ecosystem. We're gonna fill it, right? Whereas like with culture, it's like, okay, I see that gap, but let's bring together all of these partners so that each one does their
Their own.
thing,
Hmm.
and then it creates this nice stable bridge. But with Unseen, like it was back when, like a part, like I was sharing, like a part of me is like very creative. So I was in a hip hop group called Righteous Movement back in the day, MC. There's four MCs, two DJs, and we were going on tours. We were, doing all this stuff, but it was homegrown independent, right?
Hmm.
So, we would go on tours and then I would see like, the group that was headlining because we were always like under the
No,
headliner and we could never figure out why because it
push it
was like
above.
we're kind of better than that group, but
Hmm.
like why? And it was like, oh, that guy right there, that's their manager.
Yep.
And we are like, oh, we don't have a manager. What is that? Oh, okay.
Hmm.
We just do this all ourselves. And then it's like, okay, it's like, yo, they have hella press. Like, how do they have hella press? And it's like, oh, you see that woman that's with them or that
Yep.
person with them? That's their PR manager. And it's just like,
Mm,
oh, we don't have that.
mm.
So that's how Unseen started, actually, is like I went out on tour, saw those things, and then came back and I was like, hey guys, got this idea. I'm gonna be our manager. And I'm gonna be our PR agent. And so anybody that wants to book us, come send them to this email. And I created
Right.
like a ghost,
Email.
yep, and it was Sean. And so it was Sean Williams
Good.
was our manager.
Yeah.
And any email that, anybody wanted to book us, they would have to send an email to Sean.
And
And
there
then
you go.
Sean would respond and be like, no. And Sean was a hard ass. He was like, not coming out for less than this. There,
Right.
and so that became how
Smart.
I developed my chops as a manager on the back end.
Yeah.
And so with that, it was like, okay, cool. Got that. And then in college, I met my wife and she wanted to be in entertainment PR.
Mm.
And so at the
Perfect.
time, like when I met her in class, I was like, hey, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not gonna be here some days. Like, can you take notes for me? And she's like, what? And I'm like, no, no, seriously, I'm in a band and like I'll be touring. And she's
Just
like,
threw that in there real
yeah, yeah,
smooth.
yeah, real smooth. And then it was like, okay. And she's like, you know what? I've always wanted to get into entertainment PR. And I was like, what? Tell me more because
Right.
I know that PR creates, and so,
Hmm.
she was like, all right, and came out, saw the band, and obviously, right, like, come on,
Fell in love.
she was like, oh my God, great guy. And so, that's how we actually started Unseen. You know what I mean? It was
Right.
literally how we started Unseen Heroes was it was a vehicle for my band to get out there more. And
Hmm.
through that, we learned logistics,
Yeah.
which really, really, really helped. We learned marketing and PR and how to do that in a succinct way.
Hmm.
And then as we started to grow, more people started to know about us. And then people would ask, like, yo, like, who's doing this
Right.
thing for you? And I was just like, yo, it's me and her. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? They're like, can you do it? Can you do it for me?
Yeah.
And that's how I understood, like, oh, there's clients that will pay us to do this
Do this.
thing.
Hmm.
So that's literally how Unseen started. And, at the beginning, we were offering like PR, marketing,
Everything.
logistics, like booking for artists and things like that. And then that turned into like a lot of people knocking on our doors that were in the creative field, but didn't really have the money to like pay us to do those things, you
Hmm.
know? And so it was just like, but guys, my time is like, it
Money.
costs this, you know what I mean? And so then by that time, we had taken on a couple of the homies that, you know, were close to us and we would do all their things and they started to get bigger and bigger.
Right.
And then like small businesses started to hire us because they saw like what we were doing. And so then they were like, yo, you guys do such a great job of marketing. You guys do such a great job of PR. Like, can you do events? And we were just like, yeah, actually we can, you know? And so that's kind of like where the base of it was.
Mhm.
And we did for a while. And then it kind of just blew up from there.
Do you remember the very first like small business event that you did
Oh,
that
oh,
shifted? Who was it?
oh. So if you're from Sacramento
Yeah.
and you know and folks who are listening or watching, like Hot Italian was our first client.
Aw,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love
So
that place.
exactly. See,
R.I.P. again.
everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody knows that.
Hmm.
Everybody knows about Hot Italian
Hmm.
because Andrea, she was a beast at like marketing. I'll say like she is such like one of those people that is not wasn't just a client, you know? Like
Yeah,
I had developed a relationship with her through my music career. So
right.
she would book our band when she was doing things when she worked for the Monarchs. And
Nice.
then she sat me down and she was just like, "Hey, I'm gonna partner and open up this restaurant called Hot Italian." And she's like, "I want to do things really, really different." And I was like,
Hmm.
"Perfect," because I love doing things really, really
Yep.
different.
And
And
they
so
did. They did.
literally,
Loved it.
right? Killed it, killed it. And we were a part of like learning under her wing, but also
Mhm.
executing under her wing and like really like getting into like all the events. So we did a lot of the events that were across the street at the park. So like
Hmm.
Modern Italian Film Festival, the
Yeah.
Bicycle Film Festival. And that's kind of like the place where we learned to like really develop like succinctness because you know with Andrea she was kind of like our boss, you know what I mean, but like in a good way, in a mentor way. She's like,
Yeah.
nah, this isn't it, run it back. And it's just like, what? It was like, "Oh, okay, all right," but it really did give us the chops
Touches.
because it wasn't just like it wasn't insight and like you know the transaction of just client, you
Yeah.
know, she saw young talent and wanted to like nurture that in us. And
Love
she's like, if you guys want to operate in a higher standard,
this.
I'm this is how you do it, you know? And it was like we took it and we just like ran with it. And so that was like our first client. And like just the way that Hot Italian blew up, like being a part of that, we just learned how to operate at a higher level and a
Hmm.
more professional level in a way that is outside of like the norms, the traditional norms. Like no one was doing like taxi cab marketing at that time, you know, and doing like events and doing in stores out, you know, outside. Like it was
Yeah.
just such a moment. And
Yeah.
so definitely dope to be a part of it, you know.
Yeah. I remember that. I lived on the grid too, so it was always
Oh,
a big deal when anything new opened or there were events and man, I miss it. Gosh.
oh,
Man, I miss it. I live in Roseville now, so I'm like totally different world out here, but I still am from Sacramento, so I hold it near and dear. And I was like on the grid for 15 years, so
oh,
if that's home, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So you
Crazy.
got to see it firsthand. Yeah.
Oh yeah, all of the events they were not there and then they started happening and it was like we used to not be able to have anything to do Tuesday through Thursday. Sometimes
Mm.
there was something on Monday or whatever, but then all of a sudden there was something to do almost every night when you're out there, whether it be, I mean, there used to be second Saturdays and you would just wait for
Yeah,
second.
wait for second Saturday. Yeah, yeah.
Right. And then that died off, and then the farmers market and stuff like that during the day. But yeah, over time, things started to be like, wow, you could go to an outdoor like concert or event where something was opening and there was actually an event. I'm sure you guys probably had a lot to do with that. I didn't realize it then, but
Yeah.
from an outside perspective, I do remember that shift and being a part of. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, and I think that is like the perfect like segue into like the culture space too,
Yes.
is because a lot of that we did on the back ends, and even if we didn't have a first hand in it, it was like there's a community of people, there's a
Mhm.
culture of people that are usually what you would call the creative economy
Yeah.
that was out there doing that, and we all were inspired by each other, and we
Hmm.
literally shifted the culture,
Yeah.
which is like our main goal with culture. It's like, okay, let's shift the culture, in this area, but doing it in a way that is more equitable, because at that time, and what happens over time and continues to happen is like the folks that are on the ground really shifting that culture, and like people can really say like, oh yeah, I remember in this year
Yeah.
something changed. That something was a bunch of people who were doing something completely different that
Uh-huh.
then created this zeitgeist of a
Right.
moment. And it's like, but at the end of it, none of them really got compensated what they really should have got
Right.
compensated. They didn't own any of the assets that were in that area. So while people who own the assets and probably still own the assets are living in their heyday because of the bubble up that happened, it's like, oh, like let's shift that a little bit. And
Yeah.
if you can shift that, my theory is like if you can shift that, then you actually get these bubble ups that happen quicker, but
Mm.
then it's more equitable,
Yep.
right? And then it sustains longer,
Yep.
because now the folks that were doing that actually don't go away because they get priced out, or they don't
Right.
go away because like they can't afford it anymore, like whatever it is. It's like they actually get to stay in that place. And then it creates legacy,
Yep.
right? It creates sustainability in that space.
Hmm.
And then now you have the space that then continues to be like that years,
Right.
future.
Keeps going on.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because there's been, even since I lived there and I've moved, every time I go back now, I notice so much more. Because when you're living on like on the grid, you don't
Mhm.
notice as much going on, and then you leave and you come back and you're like, wow, so much has changed. Everything's
Thank
shifting.
you.
I will say COVID was horrid, and so many things closed down, I mean, everywhere, not just in our city.
Yeah.
But it was hard to kind of go back and see this alive town that had just reached that, and that synergy we were talking about. I felt like it was like at the height, and then COVID happened. That's
Yeah.
what it felt like from the outside. And I was gonna say too, the art was alongside that,
Yeah.
the street art and
Yeah.
more paid
Mhm.
murals. And I did know a lot of the artists that were down there doing a lot of them, and they were all, not connected, but we would go to one event of them painting on a wall and another one. So it
Yeah.
is interesting. I do believe what you just said is so true, because I was there in so many different ways. But
Different
yeah,
device. Yeah. Yeah.
COVID is, it's crazy how much it changed things.
It yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways that you can think about it. It's just like,
Mhm.
sheesh. It did do a number. It did a
Even
number on a lot of different things.
even socially, like
100%, yeah. Mhm.
I, for the first year after it was okay to not be COVID, right? Like everyone's like, okay, you can like touch people again. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you don't have to stand 6 feet. Like for a while, it was like that. Someone called me and be like, hey, you want to go get a coffee? And I'm like, nope, gotta stay home. Like I'm not going anywhere near people. It
Yeah,
like was built into my brain that I wasn't allowed to be with people.
yeah,
And it just shifted the way that I even now want to go to events or go and do things. I don't realize it now. It's more subconscious because it's,
yeah,
6 years officially later. But it's still this little bug that happened in, I think, all of our brains, and depending on our age groups. And my
mm,
kids are younger, so I see what developmentally it changed for
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
just wild what disconnection does to humans.
yeah, yeah,
And both you and I are in business in different ways of connecting humans.
yeah,
So
yeah. True. So
just very wild.
I always say like, it's one of those things like I try to reflect on it a lot and just be like, like we're living through that thing
Hmm.
that in 20 years, people are going to be like, oh, you lived through that, you know?
Right.
And it's
Oh,
like,
COVID.
yeah. And then also, while we're living through it, it's like we're seeing a lot of changes. And like you're saying, we're
Mhm.
seeing the effects
Mhm.
of that cause, but they're playing out in real time.
Yeah.
You know, so one of the things that I've been just like really paying attention to is like the amount of businesses that are actually shutting down right now that are small mom and pop businesses
Yeah.
is like, oh, like we're living through that thing, but what that thing really is it's not that these businesses were not successful.
Right.
It's actually that the human behavior changed from going out and going into the
Yeah.
stores to shopping online. And then also shopping online creates the, "Oh, I'll just go to Amazon vibe,
Yeah. Yeah.
or maybe the business owners weren't ready for being online, so they didn't get and so it's like
Right.
all of this that's happening at the same time. So there's like this digital space that is like became the social norm.
Yeah.
And then there's this physical space, which needs a lot of love in order to bring people from out of the physical world or out of the digital world into the
Yeah.
physical world. And it's like, oh, yeah, like we're living through that right now. And we
Yeah.
can't necessarily put it into words, but we're experiencing it, you
Yeah.
know? And so we'll
And
see what.
it's a shared experience. We're all experiencing it at once. And like I think of the speed too. That's another I think bit of it is Amazon's 2 days.
Yeah.
Etsy
Yeah.
is still
Oh, 2 days?
digital. I
Two
mean,
days?
a
No.
day, one
Not
day,
even
you
a
can get it.
day. It's
I know you can
hours.
get it
Literally, you're
hours.
getting
Yeah.
hours. It's just like, no, not even 2 days anymore.
I know, right? That was dated me. How dare you? 2 days prime.
Yeah, 2 days.
Um, no, you can. You pay more, you get it today, right? But I mean, you have Etsy, which is a whole bunch of people making things
Right.
for themselves and a little bit more community mom pop vibe,
Yep.
digitalized, but
Yep.
it's not as quick. So you
Yep.
still choose that. It's the same thing with fast food and restaurants, the same.
Exactly.
We want things quick, and then social media and even long form interview videos. Like,
Yep.
well, there are a
Mhm.
lot of people that are watching these, but I'm like, did I keep your attention for 30 minutes or did you look
Exactly.
at your phone the whole damn time and
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
listen to me?
Yeah. Yeah. So
But
true.
it's a fast paced environment that we're always trying to catch up with. It's crazy. Ugh,
Yeah. Well, we're living through it,
I know.
the best
I
we can.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, there are some positives. We both work in a digital space. I mean, culture isn't digital, I guess, but I know Unseen Hero has to be, or I don't know, is it?
I mean, you both. Yeah, you have to do
Both?
both.
Okay.
You have to live in both spaces now. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely. But it's it's interesting trying to keep up with the times. It always has been. That's never changed in, generations and generations. But right now, because we're evolving so
Yeah.
quickly and so fast, things are shifting. I mean, AI just took over all of our freaking brains, what, last year? Maybe 2 years if you were
Yeah.
hyped to
Yeah.
it quicker
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
others, right? And
Mhm.
now it's, you know, steady. Everybody knows about it. My mom talks to chat as if it's her boyfriend. Like she literally
Yeah.
is like, "Oh, I asked chat today something," and I'm like, "Uh, that guy, like
That guy, that guy.
that guy." Yeah, she straight up calls him Chad. I'm like, he is a Chad. He looks like a Chad. But it's ingrained in our everyday lives so
Yeah,
much. When I still posted something about it originally, like I just used it and I'm not happy.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
how
yeah.
are all the other agencies handling
Handling
the
it.
horrible cheating? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I felt like I was cheating. It was like this whole shift, and now I get it. It's ingrained, and we still have our jobs, but
Yeah,
it
yeah,
the things that shift right
yeah.
now in our world are shifting 10 times quicker than I think any other era has had to shift.
100%. And that's one of those things like I see just like kind of forecasting is like that's a gap that needs to be filled in our
Yeah.
ecosystem. And it's like when you And what I've learned, because I've been doing like deep dives into like AI, is
Mm,
like we're so in front of what's happening. There's so much happening behind the scenes,
mhm.
from like the LLMs, that's just like a chat GPT, to like the regenerative learning, to like the deep think learning. Like there's so
Yeah,
much actually happening. And if you don't know it, then I don't think that it's going to be like an iRobot situation in the future, but it definitely is going to shift the way that humans have to evolve and adapt. And so
agreed.
you just got to find your footing in it, your place in it, and whether you're just putting your toe in it and kind of
Mm.
learning about it, or you're jumping in, like the
Head
deep
first.
the deep learning of it.
Hmm.
It's the opportunity is there. So
It's true.
yeah.
Yeah, I've even in this last, I would say 6 months, have learned so much more past just the way everyday people use it, like ChatGPT, and Midjourney and Claude and all the creative ones. I mean, and I also rewind to like, I've been using Photoshop for 20,
Mhm.
however long the first one came out, right?
Yeah.
20-ish years, right? And there always was a sort of AI when you did content aware fill, or
Yeah.
you were, trying to fill in things where the computer thinks of what it's supposed to put in. That was or my first thought of what AI kind of was, at
Yeah.
least
Yeah.
within our space. And Photoshop content aware fill didn't steal my job. So I
Yeah.
don't think it still will.
Yeah.
It just was a tool that I got to use that made things faster. But back to our Amazon being faster than mom and pops, this
Mhm.
is now making things 10 times faster and cutting a lot of jobs because of it. I just hope that we're like here and then it's gonna go this way so like more people are needed. I don't know if
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
think we're gonna crash and burn with the over technology and then need humans more. We're just
Yeah.
in that weird crux right now.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we'll always need each other, always need conversations like this, and it's just different ways of building, which I think it's important for community development. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's really to like really look at those, like I said, those soft infrastructure pieces that really become, how we build forward. And so it's dope to have like
Stay in the
AI running in the background and getting work done so that we can sit and have conversations like this. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
that's not actually a bad thing, but
No.
it's going to take some intention and like some growing up for us, as humans to like start to think outside of the systems that have been previously presented, to
Right.
then create some new systems to where we can go sit and I always think of like Italy, like I went to Italy and I was just like, damn, y'all just be chilling out here. Like, what do
All
y'all
the
be
time.
doing? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And they're like, oh, you guys in America are like very young. You're like a teenager. You're like a
Right.
baby, and it's like, oh yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
so they're like the things that you guys are thinking about, like, yeah,
I
like
already did that.
we're over here. We already did that, we figured it out. And I feel like that's kind of like what we're living through now, where it's
Yeah.
like there are some opportunities to like adjust our human behaviors. And hopefully get to that point where money's being made in the background and we're having good conversations and really connecting as humans. So
Yeah, absolutely. I hope for that. I would,
yeah.
love to sit and have my little pizza and
Yeah, yeah,
my
and an Aperol
my nice,
spritz, you
yeah,
know what I
nice
mean?
Italian soda and have money
Yeah,
working for me in the background.
yeah,
Let's develop
exactly.
that. Where is
Yeah,
that at? As long
yeah,
as I still get to create, like
yeah.
that's the fun stuff. I
Hmm.
will say a lot of AI things have helped me, tool wise, have helped me with procuring clients and getting like the business side of my stuff done, like opening unmuted. I've always worked in agencies and I did a lot in them, not just creative direct and design. So I knew probably more than I should have, I guess. But there's still the building the business side that if I didn't have some support as a single person, it would have been very difficult. And many people have done it before AI was developed, but having like for my ADHD brain, having a perfect list for me to follow to open my business and get all my paperwork done, check, 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 like it was so helpful. So I do see where I didn't see the joys in it before. I am seeing it now, and I do think that it can grow to something that is helpful in both of our endeavors with both of our careers. But until then,
100%.
I hope people figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Got a long road.
Yeah, we got a long
It's a
road.
long, short road.
That's true. We're getting close to time, and I have one question that I always like to ask everybody in these meetings to kind of bring it back. But it is, what does it mean to you to be unmuted?
That's a good question. What does it mean to me to be unmuted?
Hmm. Not just in Zoom.
Yeah, I know. Like, let me mute real quick.
Yeah, let
Uh,
me think about that.
I think for me, it's moving in right relationship with yourself, being authentic, and really dialing in your own authenticity to live the life that you want to live. I think that is like at the core, like we're all searching for things. We're all moving through this large rock called Earth
Mhm.
that's floating in the middle of space. And
Right.
when you're born, you get a set of just like conditions that you're born into, and some people live those conditions and they just are in that cycle. But then to be unmuted is to like really find what is you and what's natural for you and move in that way. And so when you can do that and you have the time, space, or you have the desire, you really do become like this unmuted person that can live loudly, bravely, boldly, authentically in who you really are. So,
Yeah. I
yeah, yeah.
I love that. I mean, I named Unmuted Creative because of my own belief that was actually very similar to what you said about being unmuted. And finally taking a step in my own direction was me unmuting myself and trying to do things differently than the things that I've seen and learning and growing from them.
Right.
So I always like to ask people what their version of that is, and just kind of furthers the reason why I am doing this. So I appreciate your take.
For sure.
Yeah.
Keep going in it.
I'm trying. I'm like 7 months in and things are feeling like they're right.
Yeah,
Like there's been hardships and there's been struggles. I mean, throughout my whole life, right? But when something just feels right, it like clicks and you're like, okay, even if it's hard, even if there's darker times here and there, you're like, but it feels right. I'm gonna keep going.
yeah, yeah, 100%.
That's kind
Yeah.
of where I was at and where I'm going. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the future and I am excited to keep making these connections and talking to people because I feel like that's what we need in this world. Too bad we couldn't have done it in person, but
Yeah, yeah.
this
One day we'll do it. Yeah, yeah.
one day we are only a few miles away. We can do this.
Literally.
One of these days, I swear, we'll get that pizza. Um, Anything else you want to add before we close? Also, can you tell us how or people how to connect with you and follow your work?
Sheesh, there's so many different ways. Oh my God. Oh my God. I didn't even talk about some of them. Um, culture.org, that's where you can find the community development work. Unseen-heroes is where you can find the agency work. Roshaun Davis on LinkedIn is where you can find the professional work.
Hmm.
Um, the spiritual homie on Instagram is where you can find my labor of love, which is just me giving out gems that I've learned. I got to get back in the practice. I used to post daily, but
Ah,
that's those
difficult.
things. Yeah, yeah. But the spiritual homie, that's one of the things that is really near and dear to my heart when I have time. It's been a little bit, but yeah, those are all the ways you get a different um version of different part. I won't even say version, different
Yeah,
part of John.
I love
Uh,
that.
online. And then yeah, from there you can figure out ways that you can connect offline. We're always, especially on the culture side, we're always kind of convening the community in different ways, and showing support to like our businesses and the folks that are going through our programs. So we like to do like networking events, sessions, and things that you can like actually get out of the digital space
I
and
know.
get physical space and come visit. So yeah.
Okay, well, next time you have something like that, I will be there. I will get a babysitter, as hard as it is for these two little kids, but I will come. I will. It's actually even harder now with the puppy.
With the puppy.
I have a
Just
three and
add
a
to
six.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, three.
uh, let's just bring home a puppy. It wasn't even a Christmas thing. It was like a November thing, so I can't even
Oh,
blame it on like
geez.
impulse
Oh,
buy. Nope, I thought it through, and
oh,
I have a 3 and a 6-year-old and now a dang near newborn.
oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
she's awesome, but she's work.
yeah,
So maybe an event that I can bring her
yeah,
and
100%.
not my kids.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But we do events with you can bring the kids to too. So
Okay, well that would be great.
like yeah, yeah, family friendly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
more the
love I
merrier.
love that. It's
Yeah.
just hard with all three of them. I don't know if
Oh,
I can handle all three. Maybe two or one.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
haven't finagled with all three yet, except for the park. So I don't know. Let me get a little bit more brave first, and I'll let you
Well,
know.
let me dial that in first.
Yeah. Like wait for her to get a little older or something. Because yeah, these my two boys are nuts, and I love them, and they're amazing. But like two boys and this dog,
Yeah.
they are a whole nother level.
Pile it on. Pile it on.
Yeah, absolutely. If I can handle this, I can handle anything. Just for
Anything.
anybody out there listening who wants to be a client, I swear we
Yeah,
got
yeah,
you. You
yeah.
know how to micro or not micromanage, that's horrible. Multitask. The
Multitask,
other
and micromanage too. It's fair. You know what I mean?
that is fair.
Yeah, yeah. You need both. You know?
Absolutely. All
Yeah,
right. Well, it was wonderful talking to you. I appreciate you coming on, and I hope to see you very soon.
for sure. Hold on, I'm gonna do a quick video real quick. I always
Okay.
do little, yeah. Say hey, say hi.
Hello.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's for my mod times. All right, all right.
Perfect. I love
Yeah.
that.